Hi, hello, my name is Emma, and one of my biggest goals for 2024 is to read my entire physical TBR. It's definitely not that big. It's only 56 books, but to me, that is a lot. I really wish that I could be one of those people who just loves collecting books and doesn't matter when they read it, doesn't mind how long it sits on their shelves. But when I look at these, I just feel anxious. I'm like, when am I gonna get to that book? I wanna read 10 of those books at one single time. It just is very overwhelming for me, and I would like to knock all of these books off of my physical TBR by the end of the year and start 2025 with a clean slate. Also, I really love to buy books, but in this time of my life, I'm moving around a lot. And as much as I love to buy books and have books and own them, moving books from apartment to apartment to apartment is a nightmare. So yeah, I'm hoping that posting this video will kind of encourage me to actually read all of these books by the end of the year and achieve my goals, and also to stop buying books so I can finish these and have less to move once I move from this place. With that said, I don't really have these books in any particular order. I'm just gonna whip them out. Maybe I should be organizing them by genre, author. I don't have the energy to do that. So yeah, I buy books based off vibes, so I might not be able to tell you what any of these are about. And let's just get into it. The first two books I want to talk about are books that I am currently reading and will be knocked off my TBR soon. And that is Air of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. I'm like 250 pages into this. I might finish it today or tomorrow, so it'll be checked off the list super soon. Then I'm also reading House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. I've been reading this since the beginning of January. I'm only like 246 pages in. It's a nightmare to read, but I'm persevering, and soon it'll be off my freaking shelf. Funnily enough, the next three books I'm gonna say I don't actually have here with me physically. I left them at my parents' house, and I will be taking them with me the next time I go visit. But those are The Sun and the Star by Rick Riordan. I think that's what it's called. It's the one between, like the romance between Nico and Will. And then I have Siren Queen by Nevo and The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. All of those are currently at my parents' house, and I don't have access to them for this video to show you all the books that I own, but I do own them. I do own them. And then I have the entire Trials of Apollo series. I am very excited to read this, but I do need to reread the Heroes of Olympus series first. I haven't read those in like a decade, so I'm very excited to like pick these up, but I have to get through those first. So they just kind of sit on my shelf and just stare at me, and it feels very daunting. By Rick Riordan, I also have the Magnus Chase trilogy. I have Magnus Chase, The Sword of Sumner, The Hammer of Thor, and The Ship of the Dead. Normally I would not buy an entire series without reading the first book, but since it's Rick Riordan, I will read everything he writes. I just haven't gotten around to these yet. Okay, and then just to get all the Rick Riordan out of the way, I have Daughter of the Deep. Not quite sure what this is about, but I think it's a standalone, or maybe it's a series following a new character. I don't know. And then I have the new Percy Jackson book, which I'm really excited to read, and when I picked it up, I didn't realize that you have to read, or you should read, the Trials of Apollo first. So once again, this is another one that's just been sitting on my shelf staring at me. I will be reading like the Heroes of Olympus and then the Trials of Apollo, and then just blowing through this. I'm very excited to start it, to read it. It's also signed. Look at it. His signature is a little weird, to be honest. A little weird. Okay, I lied about being organized. I actually feel really organized right now. I'm going by author, and I have more Sarah J. Maas. So I have Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, and Tower of Dawn. Yes, I do plan on doing a tandem read of these. And then Kingdom of Ash. And this is the biggest book that I think that I own. And I'm excited. It's not gonna be the biggest book I've ever read. I've read It by Stephen King, but this is gonna be up there. I'm like entering a fantasy era, and I'm entering a big book era as well. By Sarah J. Maas. I also have A Court of Thorns and Roses. This is the only one I have in this series because normally I buy one book at a time. But I have the second book on hold for my library, and it just came in, so I will be reading this shortly. And I might have to pause Throne of Glass to read it soon. I'm so excited to be in the middle of like 8 different series. And then another fantasy series that I have on my shelf is the Darker Shade of Magic series by V.E. Schwab. I read the first book. It's one of the best books I've read this year. Loved it. So I went out and bought the rest of the series immediately. But now I'm like trying to savor them and read them slowly and not just binge them all at once because I loved the first book so much. So I have A Gathering of Shadows, A Conjuring of Light, and then the first book in the new spin-off series, The Fragile Threads of Power. I love this cover. Honestly, I love the original covers of the series and I kind of wish that I had them, but also I'm glad that they matched this. I think they're kind of iconic and they've really grown on me. I really like them. I'm just gonna stick with fantasy and I'm gonna say I have not read Fourth Wing yet by Rebecca Yarros. I bought it because everybody was talking about it back in July, August, and then I never got around to it. And I had so much FOMO at the time that I pre-ordered Iron Flame. And then bad reviews came in for this, so I've just not read either of them. I don't normally do this, I really don't, but yeah, maybe I'll post a reading vlog of reading both of them. I don't know. I recently added Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Ori Adeyemi to my TBR, and I'm very excited to read this, especially now that I know that the third and final book in the trilogy comes out this June. So I might wait until closer to then so I can just binge the whole series. Another book, I mean, obviously these are all books on my TBR. I don't know why I keep saying another book, another book. I also have, but I also do have Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. This was gifted to me by someone at my work and they wanted my review on it and I just never read it before I left that job. So I had like a whole 2 years to read this and I just never got around to it because I wasn't in my fantasy era and I thought I wouldn't like it and I didn't want to disappoint them. But now that I'm like enjoying fantasy more, I think I could really enjoy this. One of the books I'm most excited for on my TBR is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I have heard so much stuff about this book and I think it's just gonna be a fun, good time. I loved Twilight growing up. I really do like vampires. I'm really enjoying the Throne of Glass series and all of the drama that's coming with it, and I just think this is gonna be really fun for me to read. And then I think the last fantasy-ish book that I have on my shelf is also a new edition, and that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I have heard that this is really dark and twisted, and I know it's gotten really mixed reviews, but the people who love it, I feel like my tastes align with the types of books that they enjoy, so I think I have a chance of really enjoying this. Okay, I'm gonna stick to showing you books by authors because I do have quite a few authors on my shelves where I have multiple books of theirs to read. I have The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I am a little intimidated by this because I really enjoyed the Inheritance games. I only gave like the books 3 to 4 stars. Like I never gave them a 5 stars, but I had such a good time that I just read them so quickly, and even though I wouldn't be like, oh, 5-star amazing reads, I loved them. You know what I'm saying? It was just fun, fresh, easy to read, easy to fly through. And I've heard bad things about these books from people who like gave the series a 5-star. So I'm a little worried about this. And I also have the first book in one of her other series, Little White Lies. I loved The Naturals so much. And then like I said, I had such a fun time with the Inheritance game series. I definitely don't think it's the best thing I've ever read. I prefer The Naturals a lot more. But overall, I just love Jennifer Lynn Barnes' writing, and I'm really excited to delve into another series written by her. And then I have 4 books on my shelf from Ashley Herring Blake. She wrote Delilah Green Doesn't Care, which is my favorite romance that I've ever read. And then she also wrote Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World, which is one of my favorite middle grade fiction books that I've ever read. So I have the next 2 books in the Delilah Green romance companion series, which is Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail and Iris Kelly Doesn't Date, and I'm just really excited for these, but I haven't been in a romance mood. I like literally only have like 3 romances on my shelf and I'm just like hardly ever in the mood for them. When I'm in the mood for them, they hit, but I just have to wait for the right time. And then I also at like a half-off bookstore picked up The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James and Hazel Bly and the Deep Blue Sea, and both of these are like kind of melancholy, I think, sad middle grade fiction with maybe sapphic romances, friendships to romance, and like navigating that as a young kid, like having crushes and stuff, because that's what Ivy Aberdeen was about. Okay, and then the last author that I have multiple books from is Mona Awad. I love Bunny. It's one of my favorite books that I've ever read in my life, but I haven't gotten around to All's Well yet. And I also haven't gotten around to Rouge. I'm holding that so weird. A book on my TBR shelf that I'm really freaking intimidated by is Night Film by Marisha Pessl. It doesn't look that big, but like it is. It's thick and the pages are really thin and the text, I don't know, the text is just small and I don't like books with small font. But I did just get this for like $3 at Goodwill and I had to pick it up because I feel like I'll really enjoy it. But I'm not reading it for a few more months. Like once House of Leaves is over, I need a break and I need to not read weird, odd, long horror. I like short horror. So we'll see how this one goes for me. I've heard good things, I've heard bad things, but I do want to give it a chance before I like decide to give it away. If I DNF it, I'll give it away, but I do want to give it a chance. Some horror on my shelf that I'm actually excited to read are Monstrilio by Gerardo Simano Cordova, The Reformatory by Tananarive Due, Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder, Chlorine by Jade Song, and Leech by Hiran Ennis. Also have She's the Haunting by Trang Tan Tran. I'm very excited for this. I think the cover is beautiful and stunning and gorgeous, and so is like the inside of the book. I don't always love gothic tales, and I think this is a gothic young adult horror, but I do really enjoy young adult horror. So we'll just have to see how I feel about this. For my birthday, my boyfriend got me Mostly Dead Things by Kristen Arnett. I read With Teeth by her in 2022, and it was like my favorite book that I read that year. I loved it so much. So I'm very excited to read this, but it gives me summer vibes, so I am waiting until like June, July. Another book that gives me summer vibes is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is the only Emily Henry I have not read yet, and I would wait until the summer to read it, but I really want to have read every Emily Henry before her new book comes out in a few weeks. So I'm gonna be reading this probably in March this month, maybe like a spring break situation when it's like nice and sunny outside, just pretending I'm on the beach somewhere. I won't be on the beach, but maybe it'll be warm enough to go lay out by the pool or something. Another book I plan on reading this month and getting off my TBR is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. I really enjoyed the Finley Donovan series, but I think that's the only cozy mystery I've ever enjoyed because, well, actually, no, I'm sorry. It's the only one I've ever read. Not that I've ever enjoyed. I could probably enjoy many more. I'm not enjoying it as the series progresses. The first book was the best, and if this next book is not good, I'm done. I'm done with the series, but I do want to read more cozy mysteries, so I will be reading this. I picked it up a few months ago, but it is like the book club pick this month for Books and Lala's Literally Dead book club. I've never participated before, but since I already had this on my TBR, I'll be participating this month. I also have Reprieve by James Hahn Matson. I know that this one, I haven't given you like the explanation of many books, but this one's kind of like there's like an escape room and it's a murder mystery and like people die in the escape room. I don't know. That's why I'm not giving you the synopses of any of these. I don't know. I literally cannot tell you what any of these books are like about, except for basic vibes. And like, I think it's about this, I think it's about that, I think it's this genre. I don't know. I'm very excited to read this book, but kind of like how I told you guys those other books were like summery to me, this feels very wintry. And I keep waiting until it snows and there's a big snowstorm to sit down and read it. But we haven't had like a big snowstorm. Or every time we have, I've been reading other books and I haven't gotten around to this. So I'm hoping I can get to this before the summer and there'll be like one last big snowstorm in my area. The only book of the month book that I have is this one, Happiness Falls by Angie Kim, because I was so excited for the author of one of my favorite books, Miracle Creek, to come out with her new book, Happiness Falls, that I had to get it early and cheaper from Book of the Month. And now it's many months later and I have not even picked it up. Not even read the first word. Another book on my physical TBR is Idol by Louise O'Neill. Rainy, please be quiet, please. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I don't know, I'm very interested because I haven't heard many people talk about this. I don't think I found it on booktube, and I don't know what the reviews for this are, but the synopsis like really got me, really intrigued me, and then when I couldn't find it at my library or like even my local bookstores, I like ordered it online. I was like, I need it. I need it right now. I also have Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. How many times can I say I'm excited for a book? But I'm very excited for this one. I've heard really good reviews of it. I'm not the biggest historical fiction girly, to be 100% honest with you, but I do love a good sapphic love story, and I think that like this book takes place in 1954, and I think that's like good for me in terms of like historical fiction. I've read some historical fiction I really enjoy, but there are definitely some time periods where I'm just like, I don't care and I don't want to read. And then I have like 2 young adult like horror or mystery books, and that's The Honeys by Ryan LaSala. I'm, once again, gonna say it, excited about this book. I love a good young adult mystery, young adult horror. I think they can be so fun and so cheesy. I don't know if that's what this will be, but I do think for the most part they can be just very, very fun, very campy, and I'm obsessed with that. So I'm hoping that this gives me those vibes. And then I also have None Shall Sleep by Ellie Marney, and I'm hoping this gives me the vibes of The Naturals because I love that series so much. I also love the Truly Devious series, and I need more things like it. I actually have not read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder yet, but I don't own it. But that's on my mental TBR of things to read as well. I want more books with the vibes like The Naturals, and I got this one to see if it hopefully like scratches the itch of missing that book series so bad. One book on my TBR that I'm actually not very excited to read, and I keep pushing off, and I've had since like 2020, but for some reason just can't get rid of without at least giving it a shot, is Starfish by Akemi Dawn Bowman. I think that this book is gonna make me cry, and I think it's gonna be very relatable to me. And I keep pushing it off because I don't want to feel those kinds of emotions. Yeah, it's not even that I think I won't like this. It's just, I don't want to confront my feelings and read a book that makes me feel things that are too close to real life. That's why I'm very much into like fantasy right now and horror. And maybe I could even get into some sci-fi. Even though there's no sci-fi that I own, I will be getting it from the library. I just don't want to exist in reality right now. Okay. I need to hurry these last 2 books up because at this point, my lovely roommate's cat, she's a delight. Oh my God, she got her cone off. She's a delight. She's sick. She got her cone off. I have to go put it on. And she's being very, very, very loud with her toys. So I need to wrap this up. The last 2 books I have here are A Lat's Away by Darcy Little Badger. I love this cover. I've said that about a few books, but I think this is my favorite cover out of all the books that I own. It's just absolutely stunning. Stunning, gorgeous, beautiful. And there's this on the inside. I love a good middle grade fiction, and then I've also been really trying to like make an effort to read much more diversely over the last few years, especially like I haven't read that many books by Native American authors. So I'm very hopeful to read this soon and hopefully really enjoy it. The last book that I have was not intentionally this one, but it's The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Word. I've heard very good things about this. I just haven't been in too much of a mystery thriller mood lately. I've been definitely much more in a horror mood. Is this a horror or is it mystery? I think it's mystery thriller. But anyway, it's very hard to focus with the cat playing with her toys. I think I'm gonna really like it. There's a perspective of a cat in this book. Speaking of cats, that's all I really know about it. But I am looking forward to, you know, reading it as I am with all of these other 56 books. Hopefully, having posted this on the internet will give me a little bit of peer pressure to actually stick to my goals and have read all of these by the end of the year, and to stop buying as many books so I can finish all of these by the end of the year. Yeah, and that's really all I have to say. I will see you guys in my next video. Have a good day. Bye.